We are no doubt experiencing some of the most fascinating times of modern history. The world is changing rapidly and beyond recognition. Depending on your outlook, the following story could be one of the most defining revelations. On Thursday, the 6th of September, the FBI along with Black Hawk helicopters stormed the US National Solar Observatory in Sunspot, New Mexico. Ever since, the area has been under complete lockdown, with no end in sight to the siege. The hostile takeover was a complete shock to the local community and even the area's law enforcement. ABC7, which is a local area news broadcaster in the US, tried to get a statement from the agency over the unfolding situation. They failed to respond. The local sheriff was quoted as saying, "The FBI is refusing to tell us what's going on. We've got people up there at Sunspot that requested us to stand by while they evacuate it." Nobody would really elaborate on any of the circumstances as to why the FBI were up there. What their purpose was, no one will say. But for the FBI to be involved that quick and be so secretive about it, there was a lot of stuff going on up there. There was a Black Hawk helicopter, a bunch of people around with antennas and work crews on towers, but nobody would tell us anything. Close quote. A spokesperson who works for AURA, the organisation that maintains the observatory, was quoted as saying, "The Association of Universities for Research in Astronomy, who manages the facility, is addressing a security issue at this time. We've decided to vacate the facility at this time as precautionary measure. It was our decision to evacuate the facility." Close quote. The closure also affected the local post office, which is positioned nearby to the observatory. Postal workers have now been transferred to another office in a nearby town for the foreseeable future. Notably, the site, as it happens, is only 130 miles from the legendary Roswell community and roughly 20 miles from Holloman Air Force Base. This base is also legendary in ufology folklore, as twice being the meeting place of President Eisenhower to meet extraterrestrial diplomats. In February 1955, it was reported that over 300 people witnessed Air Force One landing at the Air Force Base. Witnesses then claim Eisenhower was seen shaking the hands of the occupants of the UFO and spending up to 45 minutes inside. The rumours are that the off-planet visitors were trying to convince the president to try and change the warring nature of humanity and move away from nuclear technology. So can this historical story be factored into the current situation at Sunspot? Or could the takeover be linked to a more natural event, such as volatile solar activity? Well, on the 11th of September, it was reported that solar storms were to be expected. Have they been more powerful than first thought? The website Science Alert wrote, "The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has issued a storm watch for a G2 level solar storm on the September the 11th. That's a moderate storm on the 5-level scale, with G5 being the highest. We are currently heading into solar minimum, the least active period of the sun's 11-year cycle. That means much lower sunspot, coronal mass ejection, and solar flare activity. But holes can still open in the sun's corona. These are cooler, less dense regions of plasma in the sun's atmosphere with more open magnetic fields. These open regions allow solar winds to escape more easily, blowing electromagnetic radiation into space at high speeds." We have spoken about solar flares and coronal mass ejections before on this channel, although mainstream tries to downplay the situation of a full coronal mass ejection. In reality, such a scenario would disable a large part of the Earth's technological infrastructure. The electrical grid and linked technology would be very badly damaged, taking years to fix. The chaos would be significant. Some researchers are mentioned as spiritual components of solar activity and the evolution of humanity in terms of upgrading our DNA. This could account for why humans and other animals have seen a huge evolutionary jump in a very short space of time. Or is something more going on than meets the eye? Jordan Sather, via Twitter, posted a list of observatories from around the world whose webcams appear to be disabled. The list has been probably screen grabbed from 8chan. Alas, I've had problems finding the original link. The link's comprised of 9 observatories in the US, including 2 in Hawaii, Australia, Chile, and even Spain. Checking the various links, the web feeds all seem to be down. I've been unable to locate any news concerning further FBI action or other equivalent security services of other countries being involved in physical shutdowns of the rest of the observatories. The mainstream has largely stayed away from the story, apart from local news in the US. Tabloid newspapers in the UK have started to churn out story after story. The Express, which is heavily referenced by ufology researchers, especially in the US, has released a handful of stories on this subject alone. From a UK mainstream perspective, people generally don't take entirely the sensationalist stories of the Express that seriously. A case in point was the death of Diana, Princess of Wales. The Express religiously posted for years that the princess was murdered by covert forces. This persistence points towards the truth under a veil of ridicule. The Express stands as a platform to debunk certain concepts and narratives, so the fact that they already covered the situation extensively again points towards a genuine kernel of truth. The Express covered the idea of supersolar flares, but also an intriguing story decoded from some of NASA's footage. Independent YouTube researchers have linked the observatory to footage captured by NASA's SDO, or Solar Dynamics Observatory. This NASA spacecraft remains permanently in orbit, documenting the activity of our Sun. The channel WSO posted a video that details a large oval object that passes over the Sun on the 9th of September at 9 PM Universal Greenwich Mean Time. Then roughly 5 hours later, on the 10th of September at roughly 2 AM, another object passes by in the opposite direction. It's not unusual for the moon to pass by into the video frame, but to happen twice, and over a 5-hour period, and in the opposite direction, it would make sense over a 24-hour period, but not 5 hours. Plus, if you physically measure the two objects, it details how both ovals are very different in size. Tyler of the legendary Secure Team 10 recently posted about this theory on his channel and discounted the footage, but he seemed to miss the fact that the object came back 5 hours later, and again in the opposite direction. Although I will concede, if there is a technical explanation for a double partial eclipse in a 5-hour period, then it's entirely possible that this avenue is a dead end. There have been a few articles circulating the ufology community featuring the photography of Gina Marie Colvin Hill. Armed with only her phone, Gina has managed to take some rather ethereal images of the Sun. She has continued to post daily updates of further Sun photography. In a post dated the 13th of September, Gina wrote, "This is a video of an egg-shaped planet spaceship and lots of spheres and little UFOs and clusters of spheres. I use my iPhone 8 with a camera lens adapter." So obviously we have no way of knowing if this footage is genuine. Gina, purely on appearances, does feel like a genuine person, although the images would need to be studied in more detail to rule out simple explanations such as dust on the lens, etc. So what can we conclude from this situation? Well, it's highly unusual for the FBI to lay siege to a piece of scientific equipment. It feels unlikely that it would be due to a security issue, not for this length of time. It's either to prevent mainstream scientists from seeing something, or if the scientists witnessed something and then the FBI closed in to prevent them seeing more. Whether this was a natural solar event or even intelligent phenomenon from covert man-made or extraterrestrial technology, the website Divine Frequency had a good theory, in that it was a huge distraction, a Psyop, a fake takeover with a subsequent raft of mainstream news articles attacking people for thinking for themselves and intensely attacking natural holistic thinking, tarring people as conspiracy theorists. As I've shown with the Express newspaper, news outlets have spent more time and energy attacking people with theories than carrying out their own analysis, acting as social manipulators rather than libraries of learning. I've been Simon of Reconsider. Thanks so much for watching. Please share, like and subscribe. I will do my best to keep up with these very exciting developments. If you're feeling fruity, please consider donating to this channel via Patreon or PayPal. Thank you.